Welcome to OkState Daily. Casey Porter here, joined by Scott McKinley. We enter into the McKinley minutes. Give them to us, Coach.
Oh boy, that was an absolute.
When the first two words are "oh boy," it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. You know, and we talked last week about it. I think neither one of us was under any illusion that we were going to go up there and win in Eugene. But I'm not going to lie, I did not foresee it being as bad, as lopsided as it was. Nothing went right. Absolutely nothing went right up in Eugene. It was total domination by Oregon. We were outclassed at pretty much every single position. It's hard today to even talk about, okay, well, what did we think of the scheme? What did we think of it didn't matter. It's just that is almost one of those games where you just, let coaches that say you just throw the tape out and let's just start anew. It was literally that. It was that bad.
You've lost 120 whatever to 3 in your last two FBS opponents. And so, how did we get to this spot, Scott? You're as diehard as I am. How in the hell did we get here? At least in the 90s we had an excuse, right?
Yeah, I think it's like anything when something gets like this. It isn't just one variable; it's a multitude of things that have happened. One, obviously the transfer portal. I think, in my opinion, that was the start of what got us here because Gundy's the way Gundy always has built a program is he'll bring a guy in that might be a little bit undervalued as a high school senior, and then they work with him. Well, by and the time they're a junior or senior, they're a really good ball player. Well, the problem is with the transfer portal, now all of a sudden if they're, if they show any sign of life, they're probably going to go. They could potentially go somewhere else. And then obviously NIL. I've mentioned before we've been late to the game on that for sure. We got a lot of coaching turnover. It's just right now there's nothing in the program is consistent or steady in a good way.
I asked Coach Rainwater in our Making It Rain in our last podcast. So we hear about all these 40 new players, new coaches. The offensive scheme looks the same. The defense is getting torched just the same way it was. It's Zane Flores, your quarterback's been here 3 years. All of your running backs were here last year. Josh Ford, your tight end, was here last year. Gavin Freeman, your number one receiver, was here last year. Your entire secondary, your defensive line was all here last year. Where's all this new that we kept hearing about in the offseason?
What I think what gets me is the only thing that hasn't changed is the head man. And for better or for worse, he's after 20-something years of doing this, he has his philosophies and ways of doing things and things that he thinks that need to be done and the way they need to be done, be dealt with. But I don't know. It baffles me how. Again, not that we lost. I did not expect it. I did not expect that. I don't think most OSU fans did. But the simple fact, my gosh, they scored twice in the first 3 plays. And again, when something like that happens, it's a multitude of variables. We don't have the talent that is required. We don't have the scheme the coaching that is required. And last but not least, guys, you're gonna have a little bit of mental toughness. You're going on the road with a tough environment. But you need to set your mind to it and just deal with it. That's the only thing you can do is you've got to deal with it.
Yeah, and just so you make all these changes. You change over your entire roster. You change over your entire coaching staff. You go getting Doug Meacham. How long do you think it took him to convince Doug Meacham to be the offensive coordinator? Was that a hard conversation?
I don't think so.
Todd Grantham, who wasn't employed at the time, do you think that was a hard conversation, or do you think, sure, Coach? So Terrell Davis, who you got from UCO, or any of your guys that you got from the smaller universities, do you think that took a lot of time to recruit them? So you know how this comes off, whether it actually was the case was, yes, Coach Gundy gave the appearance that he was doing all this because, he was dedicated. But really what he did was he took the shortcut on every single way out of even all the turnover they had to do last year. Am I wrong on any part of that?
No, I think you're right. And now in defense of Gundy, which I know a lot of people don't want to have any defense of Gundy, the part of the challenge is all of that had to be done in a very quick time frame. Because we had to get rid of we fired the entire coaching staff and we had to hire quickly
because he's stubborn. He should have had this list of names by last October.
Yes, but I think that's the part that I don't have any sympathy for him for.
Yes,
is we knew. I think you and I knew definitely by the midpoint of last season that there was going to be coaching turnover.
He knew because he said that he had neutered Brian Nardo in the way that the coaches weren't buying into the scheme. He wasn't letting him run an odd stack. He didn't bring his own. Gundy knew that Brian Nardo was not going to be the defensive coordinator real early last year. He had to.
So the idea that he had to do it like that, I don't really buy that. Right. I think, he could have gone out and gotten who he wanted, and gotten somebody good, and it was the same thing with the transfer portal, now at the same time, the other thing that I also said last week, and I still stand by it, I think we're going to find out more about this team with the Tulsa game, because here's the deal. We have no aspirations of getting to a Big 12 championship, playing in the playoff this year. We knew even before the season that probably was an unrealistic goal. I think we're going to learn more about this team again with Tulsa, because, again, Tulsa is better than what they have been. Obviously, they're not in Oregon. But we're also going to find out, okay, what type of changes does this coaching staff make in the next 2 weeks? How does this team respond mentally, and how do they prepare for getting ready to go into Big 12 play? If there's one good thing that I do see when I look around the Big 12 is there's nobody that's in Oregon in the Big 12. So I'm not ready to throw in the towel just yet, and I know that'd be really easy to do after that loss. Now, do I think we've got a number of losses coming? Yes. But is it possible for this team to right the ship a little bit and be at least somewhat competitive in the Big 12? I think that's possible. But I will say this, and then I want this on record. I think Gundy's seat is getting very, very hot right now, at least from the people I've talked to.
Absolutely. 100%. And here's purgatory to me would be the worst case scenario. So you squeak out wins against Tulsa. You get a couple lucky wins in conference. You end up with 6 wins, and you look like crap in about 4 or 5 of those games, and you just sit there and tread water. I mean, that's, to me, it either needs to burn to the ground or it needs to get fixed. So here's my problem. The aspirations towards purgatory, like, hey, if we can just get to 6 wins, that's what frustrates me. That, to me, that doesn't do Oklahoma State any good. That just sets them back year after year.
Yeah, I think the way I look at it is particularly with coaching staff, it's a little bit like looking at a stock. I don't really care what the stock did 10, 15 years ago. I care about what it's doing today and what's the trajectory moving forward. If we were able to get to 6 wins this year and we all felt like, hey, you know what, Gundy has righted the ship. We think next year we're just a couple plays here and there, and we could have won 8 this year. We could have won 9, that kind of thing. But I think that's the problem. What I have is I think that if we even make it to 6 wins, we're going to be scratching and clawing just to get there. And I think the bigger issue I see is moving forward. I don't see Gundy's trajectory getting us back to the consistent 10-win seasons and all those kinds of. I think that's what concerns me more than anything. It's not, it'd be great to get 6 wins this year as a rebuilding year, but what's it going to look like next year, the year after, those kind of things. And right now, I don't see Gundy as the guy to do it.
What player out there saw Oklahoma State this past weekend, saw that their coach admitted that we have far inferior players before the game ever started, and then at the end of the game said we need to have a more even boring offense than what we've seen to this point? What is he doing to make players want to come to Oklahoma State? We were a place where you have to think outside the box, right, to get the better players to come. So if you hear your coach say, well, we don't have as good of players before the game, then after the game you say, well, we need to have a more simple offense to make it less fun. Right. What is he doing for the fans and the players to make anybody want to be a part of this?
Yeah, and I think that's
sorry, I'm being so negative, but I'm just so pissed right now. I still can't see.
No, I'm 100% with you. There was a coach that said one time, with recruiting college athletes is you're either selling wins or you're selling hope.
Yes.
Well, we're definitely not selling wins right now. And with what you just said, what Gundy's doing, he's not even selling hope. I mean, it's, well, we don't have money, we don't have this, we don't have that, we don't have that. Even though, okay, he was correct. Yeah, Oregon's got a much larger budget than us. Okay, so what? You know what? Go play, go surprise everybody. You know,
Army has a
USA
zero budget in NIL, and they went to K-State and won. Zero. That's right. Zero budget.
That's right. USF could win against Florida.
Yes.
I mean, so these things can happen. Now, over time, yes. I mean, we've talked at length about the impact of money and all those kind of things when you look at the statistics overall. But getting beat, 69-3, that's not okay. I think the other thing that I would say is Oklahoma State has enough money to do better than that. Yeah. We're not just totally devoid of. I mean, we've got great facilities, but I think the question I'm going to continue to be asking the rest of this year is, okay, what's it going to look like moving forward with Gundy, not what he did 20 years ago. And that's really the only way you can approach it.
This is why I feverishly defend Josh, because Josh got ahead of all this recruiting stuff. People don't understand the finances. They're starting to understand now with the football situation. Gundy made it very clear that's football. So take every other sport in Oklahoma State, and it's even worse by exponential amounts. And Josh is keeping us very relevant now. Is it the exact results that we all want? Of course it's not. There were a lot of ugly times last year. It was a long road to get to, I would say, a season that was at least somewhat acceptable. Not the goal, obviously. But I'll say that. And then Josh, he doesn't alienate the fans. He doesn't alienate donors. He actually creates an environment where people want to donate. They want to help. They want to root for him. Does that make sense? That's the reasons why I feverishly defend him, is because the hustle that he puts into it. He deserves, to me, that defense. Gundy is the exact opposite. He deserves the opposite end of that. He deserves a fan base that is transactional with him because of a lot of the things that he's done.
The analogy that just came to my mind as you were talking there is there's an adage in business that people will buy from people they like.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, think about how many cars have you bought from a guy that you just couldn't stand him, you didn't like him.
Right.
It was you buy from people you like, and exactly. I think that's the problem. Is right now people don't like Gundy, what he's doing. It's
how can you?
Yeah, I mean, what is there to like right now? This is not, I mean, yeah, it's, and Mike used to be a fun coach. I mean, as much as we might not like it, the mullet was fun.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun for a time, the coffee mug with the Big Daddy thing or whatever, and I'm sure he's had some others. But now
the rant,
it's
all
like,
that.
Yeah, all that. But I think the problem, and you hit the nail on the head, we're not playing even a fun brand of football where it's fun to play in, and Gundy's just, I mean, there's nothing to like right now.
Yeah.
I mean, and I hate to throw the guy on the bus because he's meant a lot to Oklahoma State football. But
his name's going to be on the field someday, rightfully so.
Yes, and I agree with that 100%. Yeah. But at the same time, we also have, again, for the betterment of the program, we have to look and see what does it look like moving forward.
So the press conference of we're too complicated. Oh, gosh, we're too complicated. So here's what a coach in his situation needs to say. Guys, we got beat 69-3. It can't get any worse than that. You know what we're actually going to start doing? We're going to start throwing triple reverse passes. We're going to start throwing flea flickers. We're going to throw caution to the wind, and we are going to throw the kitchen sink at this season. I don't give a rat's ass if we get beat 100. I don't care if Zane Flores throws 7 pick sixes. If he does, we're going to do it being fun, being creative, and trying to give the kids an environment where they actually can compete. That's what should have. Now I'm being overly dramatic there, but he actually went the opposite way. He should have went the other way and said, we need to get more creative. We need to just throw caution to the wind and to hell with what's going on because it can't get any worse. That's what he should have said, in my opinion. Am I wrong?
Well, I mean, it would at least give me something to go to the stadium and watch.
Yeah,
right. I mean, because right now, I'm not gonna lie. I went to the first home game against UT Martin. Yeah, it was a win, but that was the most boring game I think I've ever been to in my life. Just, I mean, and at the end of the day, as much as we live it. Sports is entertainment.
Yes, correct.
And if you don't entertain the fans, they're not going to show up. I mean, at least let's throw some deep balls and let's see our receivers go up and make a miraculous catch or something, something like that. But no, it just at the same time, I think what we as OSU fans need to do for our sanity after that debacle on Saturday is we got 2 weeks here. Let's see what happens against Tulsa, because I would like to think that we will at least make a few adjustments. I think we have the talent to compete with Tulsa. I'm not saying but at the same time, I mean, it's one of those deals where, okay, that it's not this season isn't gone yet, but
Right.
we're off to a really rocky start, and
We are.
And I think, but at the same time, I think we also need to just realize, okay, this team could turn things around. I mean, crazier things in sports have happened.
Sure.
But in order to do that, there's going to have to be some pretty serious changes. One thing that I would say that the one thing we are kind of at least hamstrung in is we've got to keep Flores healthy. If we probably can't open up the playbook completely because we got to keep our quarterback healthy, because if we go down another one, we're really in a world of hurt back in that position. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what they come up with.
So when you're struggling, what you have to do is you have to start trying to focus on the positives. Like, okay, this is what we actually are doing well. As long as we continue to do this well, we can start building around that and start trying to correct our deficiencies around all those positives. So the first thing you have to identify is really what you actually are doing well. Your hat hangers. What are you going to hang your hat on? So just looking at the program as a whole from a macro level, and then just honing in on this season and on a micro level, what the hell is there to hang your hat on? That's where I'm lost right now. Is I'm trying to figure out what we actually where are we headed? What's the plan here? What are we hanging our hat on to actually move forward? If you want to convince me to move forward in a positive direction, what are the indications? What's the hat hangers here? I don't see any.
Yeah. And right now, I'm with you. I'm lost. I don't know exactly what we're going to hang our hat on. And I'm hoping that we'll start to develop that in the next couple of weeks. But right now, we just look totally lost on Saturday. I mean, when you can run the first two runs right up the middle, and we don't even put a hat on the guy and he just waltzes into the end zone, what are we doing, guys?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that wasn't even a talent thing. That's hey, you're not in the right position. You're not reading your keys. I mean, if you're in the right spot, the guy just runs you over. Okay, he's bigger, stronger, faster. But the problem is we're not even in the right spot. I mean, let's get in the right spot first, and then we'll see. And then, okay, if we get out talented, so be it. But we got to start getting guys in the right spot, in my opinion.
Does it look like Coach Gundy's meddling with his coordinators again? I say again because he has in the past. Trust me, he has. On both sides.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and I think this is difficult for coaches at that level, because let's be honest, if you're a Division I college football coach, you've got at least somewhat of an ego, and I think that is actually a challenge for all coaches at that level, because they are smart guys. That's why they got to that where they're at. But the problem is now you need to step back and say, okay, let my coordinator work. Let him try his ideas. If it doesn't work, okay, we'll recap and then we'll try. But it does no good to hire a coordinator and then you just try to micromanage everything. It just that doesn't do any good. There's no point even having a coordinator at that point.
Yeah. So let me throw this at you. I actually think Gundy was on the right track. I know people are saying he was late to the party NIL-wise, but the plan was, he's always taken those 3 stars, developed them, made them 4 or 5 stars by the time they actually played on the field. So the plan was, so nowadays with the NIL, the OUs, the Michigans, the Alabamas, they're not going to be recruiting the top high school talent because they're going to be recruiting out of the transfer portal. They're going to be recruiting 23-year-olds, not 18-year-olds. So there's going to be more elite talent that is available to go to Oklahoma State now than there ever has been. So I think he was on the right track. You go get these 4 or 5-star recruits out of high school that Alabama can't absorb because they filled their whole roster with transfers. Then you pay them to stay at OSU. You pay them to retain them versus going out and trying to pay for a whole new roster every single year, of which when you're doing that, it's apples to apples because you're trying to rebuild a roster the same way OU is, and you can't outspend them. So I think maybe his original plan with the NIL actually was the right one for an Oklahoma State type university, but last year just got so bombarded that we had to ditch that plan, and maybe we actually ditched the plan that over the long run was the best plan.
The movie that comes to mind is Moneyball.
Yes.
With a scene where he says, if we try to play like the Yankees in here, we're going to lose to them out there.
That's my point, yes.
I agree with you 100%. I think we're going to have to play the game what's best for Oklahoma State. We can't play the game that Oregon's playing. We can't play the game that Bama's playing. We're going to have to find ways of, again, finding talent that's under the radar that we can get. But I agree with you to that point, because you think about it, if you get let's say you get that really highly touted high school recruit, he commits to you, has a really good freshman year. Are the other big schools going to come calling? Yes. But at the same time, now at least we know what we've got. And you know what? There may be some collateral that we built up with the kid.
Yes.
Okay, he likes it here.
Hometown discount.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hometown discount. Yeah, he likes his coach. You know, those kind of things. But because I agree, because if it gets into where it's just simply transactional, which and to
we lose.
Yeah, we're going to lose, and I think that would be my message to Gundy. Is you mentioned earlier, is he's become transactional.
Yes.
The problem is the college football world has become more transactional, but at the same time, people are still people. Relationships still matter, and frankly, okay, you're not going to be able to outspend those other schools. So you better have something else, relationship, hometown discount, whatever you want to call it. You better have something else that's going to lure those kids in, if you're going to have success at Oklahoma State.
Yeah. How hot is the seat right now for Coach Gundy? Is there any chance that he does not make it through the entire season?
I think he'll make it through the season, just because that's kind of how Oklahoma State has done things in the past. Now, what I would say is what our athletic department is, I hope they're doing, what I don't think Gundy did, is if you know it's coming,
yes,
okay, you better start. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Gundy has gone after the season yet. But at the same time, boy, I think his seat is hotter than it's ever been during his tenure at Oklahoma State. I'll put it that way.
Things better change. The trajectory better change, and not kind of change. The trajectory has to do a complete 180, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's that drastic. We can't continue to be this way as a football program. We will get left behind when the final conference realignment has not happened yet, okay? Likely there's going to be about 64 teams. Everybody else is going to be basically junior high, okay, or JV. If Oklahoma State stays on this trajectory, both baseball and basketball-wise, we will not be one of those 64 teams, and right now we should easily be one of those. So we can't sit around and wait.
Yeah, it becomes a point to where you're actually going to do more financial harm to your books and to your brand if you continue to allow this to keep going on. But again, I'm doing my best not to overreact. But that's my job. So bad. Yeah, that was. I'm not gonna. I try to keep a level head about these things. Yeah, but that was just absolutely awful on Saturday.
It was. So. Okay, let's finish this up. What are the positives that Oklahoma State fans can think about right now that might put you in a little bit better mood, that might actually make you excited about going to the game here in about 13 days, 12 days?
I think the first thing I would say is, okay, that's over. And I think the other thing is that I do think we are going to see some of these players develop. I think Terrell Davis has got tremendous upside. I think Freeman's got upside. Valahi, if given a hole to run through, I think has got some upside. Same thing with Hicks. We've got several guys on the defense that I think have got some upside. So I think what I would say to fans is continue showing up. Yes, we're all feeling the same thing. You know, it's not that if you show up that you think that the Gundy's just doing a phenomenal job at the moment. But we still got to go out there, support the kids, support the program. And hopefully we'll see something fun this season. That's my hope.
Yeah. So fans, leave a comment. Scott, I'll let you finish this. Am I too negative with my tone right now?
I don't think so. Now, I think we're at about rock bottom. I really think we are. Now, do I think that it's possible that we will climb off of rock bottom this year? Yes.
Okay.
But at the same time, boy, right now it sure doesn't feel good.
Yeah, man. I don't mind struggling. Like in the 90s, I always felt like there was light at the end of the tunnel, because it was like, you would have an Alonzo Mays, or you'd have, and then there kind of ended up being a hunger because you just didn't win very much, and so you're just so excited to win any game, and so you became very hungry at it. But just right now, it just doesn't feel like there's any hope or anything for me to even get excited about. So Scott, you always give me a wonderful, rational perspective, always make me feel better and more positive about things. So, hey, thanks a lot. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. We took one down. I mean, it's. But the good news, it's over. Let's move on. Let's try to get better the next couple of weeks, and let's go beat Tulsa. And
the route to the college football playoffs is through winning the Big 12 title, right?
That's right. That's right. We're still not eliminated.
We are not eliminated from the college football playoffs. Scott, thanks, man. All right, go Pokes.